to my guest here in studio. So we're talking about the contempt of court act. Maybe you can just talk to us about what is that all about and how new is this one from what has been there before?
Betty, when the president was signing the bill on elections laws, there are also other bills which were also signed, and maybe they were not given a lot of priority. Key among them is the anti-bribery bill and contempt of court bill. They are now acts of parliament having been signed, and they are just coming into effect. The contempt of court has been an issue that has been with us, such that if you do not obey the court orders, if you actually are disrespectful to any court official, that is the judge, there is a procedure that the court uses to punish you. The Tony Gashoka case came in handy in terms of how courts deal with contempt. However, we have been relying on the Judicature Act, which actually imports the similar provisions in England. So we've actually been relying on that up to date. But now we have our own act, which similarly has just taken up what has been there, but now we've concocted it into our own act. And now you will actually, if you're in contempt of court, be charged based on a specific section in our laws, and the offense is already spelled out. The sentence is already clearly spelled out, and even the manner of mitigating and the considerations that the court must make, and even the defenses are in this particular act.
All right, so I want us to talk about some of the wanted men and women in this town, because apart from Oluga and his team, the KMPDU officials, you have senior government officials, starting with Joseph Nkaiseri, the CS for Interior. You have Samson Mwadhedhe. You have Monica Juma, who's the former, who was at that time the then PS for Interior. You have Nelson Marwa, County Commander in Mombasa. All these people, senior government officials, had the same problem. But is it like double standards? Because we're seeing this, law applied to other people, but it's very evasive when it comes to these senior government officials. First of all, are they supposed to be held accountable within the law, even if they are as senior as they are?
Yes, Betty, we say that the law is a double-edged sword. It doesn't matter who stands before it. Whether you're high or mighty, that is what the law requires. You break the law, you have to face the consequences. On the list you mentioned, you actually forgot to include the PS for Interior, who was issued with a warrant of arrest last month by Justice Duncan.
Yeah.
The same has not been done. So the double standard comes in the sense that last week only the Doctors' Union were issued with arrest warrants. And the OCPD Kilimani was very quick to actually move. If they hadn't surrendered today in court, I'm sure they were going to be arrested. But the list you gave, some of these warrants of arrest that were issued are over 1 year old, several months, and no one has acted upon them. So it actually shows that we haven't reached the level of where we can say that we have reached the maturity of constitutionality, where everyone is equal before the law. It actually means, tells Kenyans what had just happened a few minutes ago in court, that when you are high-ranking, then you can get away with anything, and the court can summon you the way Kibicho has been summoned, and you don't go there. Arrest warrants are issued. You can simply disobey them because you're a senior government officer. And then when you're a young person, for instance, you and me,
or this guy,
or the Olugas
or
and the Oluga, you
yes.
disobey court orders, you're going to committee straight. So actually, it's not a good thing for the country.
I mean, who is this bold person then who would actually go and arrest, the CS for Interior, Joseph Nkaiseri, Duncan? Is it practical, really? Is it practical? There you go. That's the other guy who's wanted.
The practicality of it, Betty, is in how much we actually believe or how much we are actually guided by our constitution and our laws. Because the rule of law respects no man, and it does not respect positions. As long as the court has made a decision and you're in contempt of court and the court has actually said you need to be arrested or present yourself, if they don't do that, the constitution is very clear that the IG is mandated to take these instructions and must implement them on any person except the president who has security, even only during his tenure. After that, the same thing will apply. But if you find that such government officials, and a case in point is how the Mombasa yacht was actually blown up when there's a clear court order indicating that it is important that this particular vessel is preserved so that it is an essential piece of evidence, but it was blown up and nothing has ever happened. It shows that in our country there are other people who are more special than others, and it is a very sad state of affair if the executive itself is propagating this, because it means you have a choice to depending with your stature in the society, you can actually choose which law to obey and which one not to obey. What message are they sending to the common mwananchi? They will also say we should also have a choice which law to obey and which law we should not obey.
But isn't that our leaders sometimes?
Just to add what my learned colleague is saying, I think as a country, we are still living in the era of big man syndrome, where when you are big up there, you can actually decide which law to obey and which not to obey. And it's actually double standards, because right now the government is actually filed the contempt of court against the union officials. When a few months ago, when the court ordered that the government pay teachers, they were in contempt of court. They didn't obey court orders. But then when union officials do that, they are quick to go and file contempt orders. And when contempt orders are filed against government officials, arrest warrant issued against them, no one is even moving. So the problem is actually not with the courts or with the law. The problem is with the mindset of the people in power, where they decide that we're going to obey this order, we are going to obey this law. Actually, they are the law unto themselves.
Wow.
And
so,
if I can add to that bit with your permission, Karl Marx said that laws are actually made to protect the rich men from the poor people, the bourgeois, such that it will only apply to the poor. And that's why if a poor man is in contempt of court, he'll be held to court, because it was meant to just protect this particular rich man from the poor masses, who are the majority.
People. Yes. All right. Finally, so let's go back to the issue to do with doctors. So what options do they have? I know you had started to talk about it earlier, but moving forward, if these 2 weeks don't work, what is on their side? What can they use? What part of law? Because this law is very choosy sometimes.
They actually have two options. The first option is actually to negotiate within the 2 weeks and come up with a plan on a return to work formula for the doctors. The second option is actually to appeal. They have to appeal. The second one is actually to go and appeal on the contempt sentencing at the Court of Appeal moving forward.
So those are the two options. All right. Duncan, any more additions?
There's also another option which is also brought out by the new act, so that they can actually review this particular order. And once a court has made a decision, you have a right to review. The only problem is that you must review it before the same judge, and you must bring in new facts. So it may not, that's why my learned colleague may not have gone that direction.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Jesse Oduor and Duncan Okach, they are advocates, just talking to us about this issues that are taking center stage right now in the country, these new developments. We are following up keenly on what's happening with the doctors' strike. Right now, as you've seen, they're on the streets, very, very clear that they still want their CBA upheld. All right, so we want